These towering underwater structures off the coast of Qatar are home to oil workers above the waves and newly discovered riches beneath. Soft corals and sponges grow on the platform legs, providing food and refuge to small fish. And bigger predators circle ominously to pick off the unwary. But it is not these fish that the divers have come to see. They think that this may be a gathering place for giant fish that wander the world's oceans. The whale sharks. Qatar's Ministry of Environment has assembled a team that includes some of the world's foremost whale shark researchers. Research team leader David Robinson is a marine biologist specializing in whale shark ecology.
The dorsal fins and the tail fins sticking out. They're right off the front of the boat.
He and his team are on board the Topaz Salala for the first of several expeditions to help unlock the secrets of these enigmatic creatures. To help tell their story, they're accompanied by some of the best underwater cameramen in the world. There's still a great deal we need to learn about the whale shark. Even the name is deceptive. The word whale relates only to their size. That's certainly impressive. Whale sharks have been known to grow up to 20 meters and weigh as much as 30 tons, about the weight of a fully loaded bus. But the reality is that these are not mammals, but fish, cold-blooded members of the shark family. Their most dangerous predator is man, for they're prized in some parts of the world for their flesh and their fins. Michael Pitts, Emmy Award-winning cameraman, has been filming wildlife for over 20 years.
You get up close to its head and look at its eye and you're just wondering what has that animal seen in its lifetime, because they know they live up 80, 90, 100 years old. So they're classic ocean wanderers and they know no boundaries.
The largest recorded gatherings of whale sharks, known as aggregations, have been in the tropical and subtropical waters off the coast of Mexico, Africa, and Australia. But that picture may now be changing. In the last few years, large groups of whale sharks have been noticed off the coast of Qatar. For decades, the fishermen of Qatar have told stories of these creatures that gather offshore in the summer months. But their sheer size made local fishermen treat them with respect. In the 1970s and 80s, newcomers arrived in the seas around Qatar. These platforms are situated in the Al Shaheen field, which currently produces about a third of Qatar's oil. And with the platforms came people. Soren Stig works for Maersk Oil Qatar. Without him, this expedition may never have come about.
The first whale sharks I came by was in June, I think, of 2007. It was about a couple of 100 meters away, but they came in, a few of them, to be right below us. So I've got pictures of me standing right above them on one of the gangways, yeah. But apparently it was unknown to the whale shark community.
Soren was encouraged to post his pictures online, and that triggered an extraordinary series of events that has led to the Ministry of Environment team being on board the Topaz Salala today. David Robinson's colleagues include Dr. Simon Pearce, who's identified around 20% of the world's known population of whale sharks. Katie Brooks, who has studied whale shark groups around the Seychelles. And Stefan Bach, a marine biologist and the environmental team leader for Maersk Oil in Qatar.
When I started my research in 2010, I was kind of looking at the whole area, and one big worker in particular, he had actually uploaded some images of an aggregation of sharks. The internet searches brought up his name time and time again, so I simply put his name into Facebook. I sent him a private message asking if he'd be willing to share the photos with me, and he did.
This will be the first meeting of the two men whose chance online encounter gave birth to this project.
Then, out of coincidence, about 2 weeks later, the Qatar Ministry of Environment had a sick turtle. I work on the turtle project in Dubai, which they brought over to us for treatment. I asked them if they knew if they had lots of whale sharks offshore, aggregating sharks.
The Ministry of Environment quickly realized the importance of these sightings, and so this 5-year-long Qatar whale shark research project was born.
While concern for the environment is a shared responsibility, the Ministry of Environment has made great efforts to protect Qatar's natural heritage and to achieve the environmental goals laid down by the Qatar National Vision 2030.
Mohammed Al-Jada, known to the team as MJ, is the environmental expert leading the project for the ministry.
Good morning. Good to see you again. Welcome to Park Housing.
We have learned a lot about the biodiversity of the area, and we are still learning, and it's very important for us to know the richness of this area and how can we protect it.
Respect for the marine environment in Qatar is strengthened by an understanding of how much the country already owes to its coastal areas.
Marine environment has not only stood by us in the past, but in the recent times it has elevated us to the level of a prosperity amongst the highest per capita income in the world.
Oil and gas have played a key role in Qatar's development, and platforms like these are now also at the heart of this research project.
We are at Maersk Oil Qatar very excited about the project of whale shark. We are utilizing our manned platforms offshore to monitor the movement of the whale sharks, and in the future we will continue sponsoring more and more study and research.
The Maersk oil workers who operate the platforms act as lookouts. They systematically log any sightings and report them to the researchers.
Have you seen any recently?
But the platforms are also important for another reason.
One of our theories is that the sharks are indirectly linked to the platforms through tuna. So the platform themselves are acting as fish aggregating devices.
A half-kilometre wide safety zone prevents fishing in the area. The researchers think that the whale sharks home in on the plentiful supply of food.
The numbers of spawning tuna must be phenomenal, and they're seeing them under the rigs. So I think the protection from the oil rigs is kind of made a de facto marine reserve.
Ready to go?
The camera crew are keen to film the underwater world of these man-made reefs.
Yeah.
Fish eggs seem to be a favourite food of whale sharks, but so far none have turned up for dinner. Then, out of nowhere, a giant, dark shape glides majestically past.
Actually, like dodging a double-decker bus coming towards you when you see one of the whale sharks sort of coming out of the gloom. It's feeding on the tuna eggs. It's just under the surface, and you see the shape appearing out of the gloom.
It is gone before the researchers can react. But this first sighting is encouraging. A long-term research project like this needs significant land-based support. As a key partner, Maersk Oil Qatar has put the resources of its Research and Technology Centre in Doha at the team's disposal.
The research centre here, we focus on contributing to the Qatar society. With that, both showing how we can get more out of the natural resources in Qatar and also preserving the natural environment in Qatar.
You get a combination of hot water with nutrients and upwelling.
Working closely with the ministry, Stefan has coordinated the expedition.
When the shark comes to the surface and sends signals to the satellites. Then we have another type.
Satellite tags will allow the team to track the migratory patterns of the sharks. One type will transmit its location in real time when the whale shark surfaces, but this reduces the battery life. Another type will detach after 6 to 12 months on the shark, float to the surface, and then transmit its data. Sensors deployed by the team around the Al Shaheen field will detect acoustic tags. The sensors will be recovered at regular intervals over several years to download their data. On board the Topaz Salala, the mood is gloomy. The problem is the wave height.
Where we could actually get the wind picking up in a small area, we're to about 50 knots. And it's basically, you don't want to be in a squall in a small boat. In fact, you don't want to be in a squall in a big boat.
The team decide to make use of the downtime and prepare the acoustic sensors. There are 15 of them in all. The release mechanism that allows them to be retrieved from the seabed needs to be tested.
We've done one now and 14 to go.
At $6,000 apiece, and in 60 meters of water, it's intricate work.
They should trigger the release device by 16:25, over.
Stefan uses a remote control panel to send a signal to the sensor. This should make it break free and rise to the surface.
I press the button.
It's done.
It's done.
It's eroding.
It's hopefully eroding.
That's the theory, but the reality doesn't quite match up.
It hasn't released yet. It could be the signal has not gone so long.
The loss of these devices would be serious enough in financial terms, but if they can't persuade the sensors to disengage once they're deployed, the team will lose the irreplaceable data stored inside. After making adjustments, they're ready for a second attempt. But now their work is interrupted. One of the platform lookouts has spotted a huge group of whale sharks.
There's another whale shark being spotted at H location on the platform itself. So we're heading over to check that out now.
Big small ones, aren't they? There's a big one there as well.
Where's the big one? That's a proper big one.
Let's go on this one here.
Feeling it's turning towards you.
Tank, okay, stop. Neutral. Neutral. Can you lift me in?
Now, at last, the team can get a clear picture of the sheer majesty of these mysterious creatures.
But it's teeming with life down there. Just teeming.
An immature whale shark, about 8.5 meters long. It's really actively feeding as well. Very cool.
One of the first tasks for the researchers is to measure each shark they encounter. The traditional way of doing this has been to photograph a diver alongside the shark, but this method doesn't always give accurate results. Simon was part of the team in Mozambique that developed a better system.
What we've come up with is this piece of equipment here. And we've got a normal digital camera for taking identification photos of the sharks. And on each side, we've got lasers. So when we're taking a photo of the shark, we've got little laser pointers like this, 50 centimeters apart. And that gives us a really good scale bar on the shark, so we can see its total length and even how fast they're growing over time.
Visual recognition is also important. But just how do you recognize one whale shark from another?
We asked them for their name. David, he's got this also software, which is like fingerprinting, taking pictures from the side.
It's like a human fingerprint. The sharks are obviously very spotty. From those spots, everyone is unique to every single individual whale shark. So we can actually use a program that's been specifically designed to run an algorithm on these spots.
It's been a fantastic stroke of luck to encounter such a large group of whale sharks so early in the expedition. Now the team have to work fast to make the most of it. They must fit as many satellite tracking and acoustic tags as they can. From the whale shark's point of view, this is a painless process because they're protected by a skin thicker than any other species.
Basically, we anchor it into the dermal layer of the shark, but they don't really react to it. It's like a little pinprick to them, basically. So if the shark's slow enough and is at the surface for long enough, we can actually get sporadic GPS locations from it.
Technological advances are also helping the team learn the genetic history of each whale shark.
We take skin biopsies, and what we're doing with that is looking at how related the sharks are.
The results should help to indicate how far the whale sharks travel. If the DNA is similar to other populations, then it shows that they are true ocean wanderers and mingle with other groups on their migratory journeys. After 6 exhausting hours, the dying light brings to an end an unexpected but incredible day.
I really enjoyed today. We did, for example, more than 60% of what we wanted to do in the 10 days.
I've been on many assignments where you've been trying to film whale sharks, but I've never seen 70 or 80 whale sharks, and it was an incredible sight to see that. Their fins slicing through the water, and it was one of the big events that go on this planet.
I saw more whale sharks in one day than I've ever seen before in the rest of my career. So this really does look like an amazing location to learn more about whale sharks.
Back on board the Topaz Salala, the team used what others might look on as downtime to analyze and interpret their findings and to acquire some new skills.
I'm currently being educated in whale shark fingerprinting by Katie, who is an expert in the field.
I like to think so.
Yes.
So I mark up 3 points, the top of the fifth gill, the bottom of the fifth gill, and the edge of the pectoral fin. And that's what the computer has as a frame of reference when it's comparing the sharks against all the other individuals.
The program now searches the database for images of whale sharks with similar spot patterns and identifies any close matches. Recognition of individual sharks will help the researchers trace their movements and habits.
This is the picture that David took a couple of days ago, and it actually matches with one that I took last year when we had an aggregation of about 100 sharks. We've got the same one.
The whale shark's mouth is big enough to swallow a human. It's armed with hundreds of small teeth, but they're not used for feeding, as its diet consists of microscopic animals, plankton, fish eggs, and occasionally small fish. it uses filters behind its gills to sift food from the water. But the whale shark isn't the only creature to benefit from the food it takes in. Suckerfish stick close to its body and feed off the feces it excretes. Sometimes there's no accounting for taste. This is the first expedition of the 5-year project, and the team still need to establish what it is that draws the sharks back each year. They're preparing to drag plankton nets to catch samples of water when whale sharks are present, and again when they're not. Their first haul of fish eggs contains as much protein as a couple of fillet steaks.
They're the eggs of a mackerel tuna. It's also known as kawa kawa, and that appears to be what the whale sharks are feeding on. If this is what we can get in just a couple of minutes, imagine what these whale sharks are hoovering up. And the next thing that we have to do is we have to instantly kill the sample, because we need to preserve it intact so that it represents exactly what the whale sharks were there feeding on at that moment. If we weren't to kill the sample and there were to be lots of different species in there, basically it all ends up eating each other. So we end up with this one giant piece of plankton and all the rest is gone.
At the end of each research trip, the samples are delivered to the labs in Doha for analysis.
In the biotech lab, they will do the barcoding for the fish eggs and also for the whale shark tissue. And that will be kept in our database for future reference and also to compare with the whale sharks in other areas in the world. And in the central lab, where they do the identification and the type of species that exist in that area, also what exists within the plankton.
The analysis of the whale shark's diet will be fed into future planning meetings and will hopefully make it easier to predict their location. On board Topaz Salala, the hunt is still on, but time is now running out for these ocean wanderers. Conditions are ideal, but the whale sharks are frustratingly absent.
We've also been speculating about perhaps whether if that rougher water sort of breaks up the source of food, so we get a more sort of scattered distribution of whale sharks.
The team make the best of this enforced break by retesting the acoustic sensors.
Green light, good to go. It's 4:15, so within...
Up above, Stefan has pushed the button, and the transmitter has sent out its control signal. But nothing has happened. Or so it seems, until finally the anchor link is eroded. It's a huge relief, and all 15 sensors are quickly deployed.
Still have most of the day left. We'll be cruising around, and yeah, I think we might get lucky later today.
700.
We need it.
Yes, I've had enough of virtual sharks now.
we
We
want
need
to go in
some
the
more real
water.
ones.
Time to go in the water.
They have been spotted on the starboard bow of the Africa, so we are headed that direction now.
Katie's plea is answered. A whale shark has been sighted near a floating storage and offloading ship, the FSO Africa. But the wind is picking up, and the waves are starting to build. They arrive and spot the sharks, but will they be allowed in the water? The word is given that it's all safe.
Game on.
You're coming with us. Coming our way. I'm coming our way. Just slightly go away from him.
one aspect still puzzling the researchers is where and how the whale sharks breed. No one has ever seen whale sharks mating or giving birth to pups.
The female shark lays eggs inside herself, and those eggs hatch, and then from there she'll give birth to live young.
But finding whale shark pups will have to wait for another expedition. The team work on until the failing sun forces them to head back to the mothership.
Hi guys, how was it?
Amazing.
Amazing, yeah. So many sharks.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a long journey for us, and I think it's a massive success. And we got a lot of research done. We got tags put on the whale sharks. We got acoustic receivers deployed. We got photo ID of more than 100 sharks. It's been good fun. There's been a lot of good people on board. There's been no safety incidents. So all in all, just a great survey.
I can sum up the importance of environment protection in Qatar in one sentence by quoting the words of Her Highness Sheikha Moza bint Nasser. If we nurture our environment, it will nurture us. The Al Shaheen field stands as a testament of how our companies have worked together to minimize any impact of the local environment.
Swapping his wetsuit for a thobe, Mohammed Al Jada wastes no time in using the expedition
How long does the whale shark go without eating?
to inspire the next generation of would-be marine biologists.
How many planktons does a whale eat?
Oh, not how many plankton, how many tons, you know?
The Ministry of Environment believes that educating the next generation should be the cornerstone of environmental conservation. The Shark Project is, therefore, an ideal project to complement the Ministry's ongoing environmental awareness activities in schools.
There is lots of younger people who wants to follow this footstep, starting with my son. Now he wants to be a marine biologist, which is, yes, I have a big smile because of that, He's going to do my dream. This trip was only the beginning. We will have still many years to come to learn about the whale sharks and to also understand the biodiversity of Al Shaheen area for the future.
These ocean wanderers mean no harm to man. It is now up to man to protect and nurture them.